Welcome back, everybody. Many of you may have remembered the Making Your Mosin Rock series that I put up at one point. Actually, I haven't checked the exact time, but it's been quite a few years now since I put that video up for the first time. And if you're watching this video now, the original version of that video is now gone. I'm removing it for good. I want to share a little bit of information with you that I've found out about the Mosin Nagants over the years and stuff like that. Just ways of making them run better, making them smoother, making the bolt smoother, and little things like that. So let's get started. Alright, before you we've got some tools that are definitely going to help us complete this task. One product I like to use for what we're going to be doing is the JB non-embedding bore compound. That's the one with the blue label, like that. And also the Bore Bright, which is the red label. These products are an embedding bore cleaning compound that are mainly designed for polishing the crap out of your bore. The main thing we're going to concern ourselves with in this video is fixing the sticky bolt problem that people encounter a lot and making the overall action of the gun just smoother and slicker and basically just a joy to shoot. You don't have to kick the bolt open anymore, none of that crap. I'm going to show you how to accomplish that. Helps to have a rubber mallet, screwdriver. In terms of polishing, you're going to want to have a section of shotgun cleaning rod with a 20 gauge bore brush attached to it. This is going to come in indispensably handy. In terms of sandpaper, you're going to need a few different types of sandpaper for this task. Some 240 grit sandpaper, it helps, a wet sanding paper in 240, and a wet sanding paper in 1500 grit, and some quad alt steel wool. That's really about all you need. Now on these Mosins, the sticky bolt syndrome comes from a couple of different areas. A few basic things. One, when these rifles are stored, they're stored with a layer of cosmoline all over the gun, stock, everything. A lot of times that cosmoline finds its way into the chamber. What happens with sticky bolt a lot of times is somebody will take this gun out, shoot it, without cleaning all the cosmoline out of the chamber, which we're about to do. And what happens is it heats up, and then as it cools down, it forms almost kind of like a varnish in your chamber. And especially with those steel cases on a lot of that surplus ammunition, can make it a real pain in the butt to extract and otherwise open the bolt. Another reason that the sticky bolt problem is encountered is because of excessive headspace. A lot of people don't check the headspace on these rifles, and rarely have I seen one out of spec. They're normally quite tight in that respect. But if you get a gun with excessive headspace, and this could be a Mauser, Mosin, Enfield, it doesn't matter, any kind of surplus gun, modern gun, whatever. If you fire a round in a gun and the brass acts like it's going to have difficulty ejecting, whether you have to slap the bolt, whatever, always suspect excessive headspace. If the headspace is good on your gun, then you can move on to the next thing we're going to talk about here. Take the JB bore compound, the blue label, take your 20 gauge bore brush, get a little bit in there. You can see in the video I've got the shotgun cleaning rod and the bore brush tucked up in my drill motor here, and that's what we're going to use to kind of get in this chamber a bit. The little bit that I did right there should be all that's required. As an added bonus to this process, once you've started cleaning up some of the embedding compound and everything, go ahead and just kind of get some of it on a patch like I'm doing here. You know, it's going to be on the receiver and around the end, that's fine. Go ahead and run it through the bore. It's okay to run this stuff back and forth through the bore, it's not going to hurt it. What the JB does is it's kind of a slightly abrasive compound that will kind of get down into the lands and grooves of the rifle a good bit, and it'll help polish out some of those minor imperfections. You are going to lose just a slight amount of surface area inside the bore itself. Nothing to worry about. It's minuscule. Alright, we're going to get in the chamber with a 410 mop. If you find the need to, get into some of these little cracks and crevices with some Q-tips and get all the, you know, embedding compound out of there. Not really that big of a deal. Alright, so that covers getting all the cosmoline out of the chamber. I mean, there's really not much to it. You're basically just getting some good abrasive compound in there with a good tight fitting brush and just scrubbing it really good. The next area we're going to concentrate on is the firing pin. Take the drill, chuck the firing pin up in the drill. You're going to use the drill as a lathe. And a lot of times what happens is the reason the bolt's difficult to open is sometimes these firing pins can be machined off center, and as a result this section right here is off center as well. And it can actually have friction inside of the bolt handle itself, and that can cause it to bind up and basically just be really difficult to open. So what we're going to do, I'm going to clean it up a little bit. So you can even tell by looking at that wobble that it's off center. But what I'm doing here is going to help. Alright, going with the 1500 grit. That'll work real nice right there. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to lighten the firing pin spring. Now, there's some different schools of thought as to whether or not this is necessary, but I'm going to tell you people that I've done probably about 75 of these like this, and all the people I've done them for have been very, very happy with it. There's two ways you can lighten this spring. One is to cut off one link, which is the quick and dirty way and the easy way, and it works. The other way is to turn down the actual diameter of the spring without reducing its length. For some rifles, and depending on the status of repair they're in and the condition of the spring, that may be necessary. This is the actual area that comes in contact with the receiver. Polish this area up real good. That'll help a lot. Basically, with these bolts, just to make them smoother, anywhere that has any kind of friction or contact, these areas right here will have a lot of rough machining marks and everything. You can take your time with some files and you can clean those up, and that'll make it definitely smoother. And it's just one of the little things you can do on those. The bolt acts like it doesn't want to overcome the rim. Pull your extractor out and just barely reface just touch the front of it on the belt sander. Give it just a little bit of pressure and then polish it up real nice like I've done this one, and you'll never have that problem again. Another way you can correct the problem is to reface this inner diameter, the actual distance between the top of the extractor and the furthermost point of the claw right here. Be very, very careful when doing that, but that will help too. You don't want to take too much off or else it won't work. Alright, so just wipe down all your bolt pieces with some Ballistol. One of my favorite agents for making metal parts move together real well is this Loctite C5-A. It's a copper-based anti-seize lubricant. This is the exact same stuff that Glock uses on all of their pistols when they're shipped from the factory. You'll notice it has that coppery looking anti-seize lubricant. That's exactly what it is. Lubricate this curve right here in the striker with it. Lubricate the corresponding cut in the bolt handle. Anywhere you see these turns and little twists right here. And it doesn't take a whole lot because this stuff will flow in there pretty decent. Basically anywhere that has any kind of friction bearing properties in the bolt, just go ahead and add some of this. It's not going to hurt to have some of it. And then once you've done that, lubricated the bolt with some Ballistol, go ahead and reassemble. One other area that I strongly recommend you guys pay attention to on these rifles, it's not really that big of a deal, but if you want to get any kind of respectable accuracy out of them, I would recommend at least bedding the tang like I did on this one. Now this is the X-Sniper rifle that we took out the other day, and we were hitting 16-inch rounds at 440 yards with fairly boring regularity. Part of that accuracy comes from the fact that these tangs are bedded. Now that's not something they do on all the X-Snipers. This is just what I did on my gun, because basically if you cinch down the action screws and you move the action back and forth and within the axis of the stock, if it moves any tiny amount, you're going to see a really big, you're going to see a negative effect on the accuracy if the action moves back and forth. A lot of these stocks, you'll look at the action and the tang, it'll have that amount of space, that glass is right there from here to here. That area is how much space was between the rear metal and the rear of the stock, this wood here. So you want to fill that in with Acro glass. That's not a hard job to do. It takes no time at all, and it really increases the performance of your Mosin. Alright, we got our rifle assembled. Let's see if it made any real difference in how smooth it is. Much less force to open it. We'll get out and do an overall test at the range, and I'll warm this thing up. We'll run some rounds out of it, see how it does, but it's definitely a lot smoother. Polish that part on the cocking piece really seems to help with the trigger.